Our main protagonist of this story, named Sung Soo-woo, is described by some people as a character straight out of a webcomic. That is because he has a handsome face, strong in terms of battle, and popular, especially with the girls. But like every human on this planet, his life is far from perfect, and his one big imperfection is that he can't gain abs no matter how much he trains. Despite that, his life was going just fine, until one day, he suddenly transmitted into an unknown place. None of him in this area is familiar to him, so he panicked but instantly discovered that his new journey began inside of a webcomic universe. In this new life, he did odd quests like killing severed torso evil spirits alone by himself and ended up running in fear and even crying. He also fought dangerous beasts like a gigantic snake, and the more he fought, the more he became used to this life. He also makes new friends in this world. But despite all the fun and excitement, there's a reason why he can't stay in this world forever. And because of that reason, he has to do whatever it takes to complete his missions. One time, he invaded the tower in the romance district, but unfortunately, the strongest warrior of the district and the guardian of the tower blocked his way, so they fought using their swords. The guardian of the tower is a lady, but Soo still wanted to go through and force the lady to let him in to complete his mission. But of course, the lady won't allow it to happen, knowing that her mission is to guard the tower, so there's no reason for her to give what Soo wants and just sit and relax. Their fight took so long, causing the lady to become furious, trying to make Soo realize that her job is to prevent anyone from entering the romance district, so she said there are only two options Soo can have: either he will leave or he'll die in this place. Soo grits his teeth in annoyance as he expected that his level was enough to spar with this lady, but it turned out that he was wrong. In the end, he decided to use his secret technique against the lady. He touched the bottom of his clothes and charged at the lady while screaming. The lady at the same time confidently said that Soo cannot beat her no matter how he tries. She was about to utter more words, but she was stunned to speak the moment she saw Soo use his secret technique. Soo then smirked, knowing that at this point, he would be able to defeat the lady and go through the tower. A flash emerges as he raises his shirt and lets the lady stare at his stomach. The lady cannot move and she was blinded by the light. She felt dizzy without knowing that Soo had already passed through her. After a minute, she collapsed on the ground, so Soo smiled and uttered that it was time for him to complete the final level. About his mission, aside from traveling this vast world and completing the bizarre quests assigned to him, there's still more that was on his system window. He has an important goal that is personal to him, and that goal is to level up his ice guide abs. Before he fought against the guardian of the tower in the Roman district, he fought against several monsters, and one of it is a huge red beast. The beast was too strong, which he believes is probably at least a B-class beast. While fighting, he was talking with someone over the radio. It was his friend in this world, telling him to stop whining and just kill the beast as soon as possible. He also reminded Soo that it was he who picked this quest in the first place. But then, Soo blamed this man and told him to help instead of babbling around. The man then tells him to relax and motivates him to win so that they can both go back to their original world. Soo was still annoyed, but he agreed with his friend since he was well aware that they would be stuck in this place forever once they lost. He breathed deeply and lifted his sword while telling himself that he must calm down and take this quest seriously. The monster then roared at him and tried to attack, but he luckily managed to dodge away. Some viewers might wonder how a regular guy like him ended up in this situation, and some might not probably believe his story. To start, maybe we should go back to his life around December 9th, 2022, when he had a spar with someone. But to go further and to be completely understood, let's go further back about his life during the 20th Junior Kumdo Championship. He had a Kumdo match and his girlfriend, the lady with the pink hair, was one of the audience. She was looking forward to seeing Soo win this match, and watching the match made her feel nervous. Soo's best friend Yunho, also the vice captain of their team, was also in the crowd, praying for his win since they would win the overall competition after one more strike. After praying, Yunho used his finger to get the booger inside his nose. The guy behind him asked him why he wasn't worried for Soo at all. He also said that Yunho should cheer up Soo out loud. Yunho squeezed his booger before throwing it, and he told the guy behind him that he didn't want to be a part of those people who worried too much for Soo's match. For him, worrying about Soo is just a waste of time since he believes that Soo cannot lose in this match. More than the honor of carrying their team's victory, he also believes that Soo's spirit right now burns stronger for another reason. Soo's girlfriend was so proud, cheering for him despite that all the students were shocked to know that the one they idolized was already taken. Soo's aura at that time was scary, which made his opponent flinch. He then charged at his opponent and luckily hit his opponent's neck. Sung Soo is a simp who would do anything to impress the girl he loves. After hitting his opponent, the red flag was raised and it was declared that the point was given to Soo. Fortunately, their school, the Bagun High School, is the overall champion. After the competition, they were interviewed by some journalists, and Soo was asked how it feels for him to be the captain of their team for winning the championship. Soo then gave thanks to the reporter for questioning how he felt. He said that he was really proud of his teammates since they worked hard to make it this far, and they were grateful to everyone who supported them. What a manly and mature response. No wonder your girlfriend was cheering you on during the match. The journalist replied, which shocked Suwoo, and asked her how she knew about his girlfriend. The journalist then told him no need to be shy, and she said she only heard his juniors talking about his girlfriend. She also told Suwoo that he must be proud that he has such a supportive girlfriend. Suwoo's face blushed. He agreed to the lady's statement, but he was trying to keep his relationship a secret so there wouldn't be any issue. But of course, he didn't deny the fact that he already had a girlfriend. His fans at the same time don't look so happy upon knowing that he was already taken by someone else. Aside from his status, the journalist also asked him to share with them his secret to becoming an expert in Kumdo. As per Suwoo, self-discipline and control are a must. He stated that most people don't know it, but for them as players, they have to train their minds for this sport, not just about physical training all the time. To his surprise, the journalist touched his muscle while saying that she could tell Suwoo had a really nice body. She told Suwoo to let them walk through his exercise regimen, and despite that Suwoo was rattled, he answered that his exercise only focuses on some sword and footwork training. In addition, he also did muscle exercises sometimes to maintain his muscles. The journalist stares at his lower part as she guesses that Suwoo also includes an abs workout. She also bet that Suwoo is really shredded down to his abs. Suwoo was panicking since no one knew aside from his best friend that he had a big stomach. The ladies nearby are waiting for his answer. They blushed while they were asking Suwoo to show his six-pack abs to them. Suwoo was nervous and couldn't remember how the interview went about his imperfection. He doesn't want to be revealed, thinking that his reputation would surely be ruined. The journalist touched his clothes and tried to lift it up, but he blocked his arms on his clothes so the lady couldn't show his stomach to everyone. The lady told him not to be nervous since this is just harmless fun for her. She also believes that it would be a waste if Suwoo cannot show off what he has behind his shirt. Suwoo grits his teeth while hearing his fans asking him to show them his six-pack abs. He was wondering where Yunho was since he knew Yunho was the one who could rescue him in times like this. Luckily, Yunho came and instantly grabbed the journalist's hand out of Suwoo's shirt. "I really don't think you should be doing that," Yunho said, and seeing him this time made Suwoo so happy. Yunho comes at a perfect time, and Suwoo believes that Yunho came up with something so he could excuse from everyone. The journalist asked Yunho what's the problem since she could see that there was nothing wrong with just a little fan service. Yunho then told the lady that she didn't understand at all. He explains to everyone that Suwoo has a very sensitive stomach. He also asked the journalist if she wanted Suwoo to have an explosive accident in the middle of her interview. Suwoo felt embarrassed since this wasn't the excuse he was expecting Yunho to say. All the ladies, including the journalist, were also dumbfounded. Yunho then stated that Suwoo suffers from a condition that prevents him from controlling himself at certain hours of the day. Why else would he hold his stomach like this? You people need to learn how to read the room, he added, and Suwoo at the same time acted despite that he doesn't like the excuse of Yunho. Yunho then grabbed Suwoo off the stage while he was uttering that kids nowadays are so insensitive. He even blamed the app Toktik and Twitter about the students' behavior. Before they could completely leave, he told Suwoo that they must now head to the nearest toilet. "Don't worry, I have your favorite brand of tissue in my pocket. I'll help you wipe like usual," he added, and everyone was so silent as they could not believe what they just heard. They both went directly to the Kumdo Club room and strongly opened the door. The men inside were startled and immediately left the room the moment they saw that it was their captain and vice-captain. Suwoo then sat down and he felt so down with what happened. Yunho at the same time gets something from his locker. It's Suwoo's girdle and he hands it over to Suwoo. Suwoo accepted it while giving thanks to Yunho. A moment of silence happened between the two, and after a minute, Suwoo becomes so mad asking Yunho if he already realizes what he has done. "You just ruined my reputation. Do you want me to choke you to death?" he angrily said while shaking Yunho's body. Yunho then said that Suwoo showed so much self-discipline and control now. Suwoo grits his teeth in annoyance. He cursed and said that he expected Yunho to help him get out of the mess but ended up coming up with the worst excuse in history. And because of what happened, he doesn't know how he could face the people inside their academy anymore. "Well, I had to think of my feet. And it's not like you're paying me to make excuses for you," Yunho answered, and he complained that Suwoo ruined his dabak, the uniform he was wearing. Since Suwoo opened his polo, Yunho pinched his tummy and joked around that Suwoo must admit that his excuse was a quiet genius since he was sure no one realized that Suwoo was struggling to hide flaps. "Stop messing around. You owe me big time. Like really big time. You better think of something to clean up the mess," Suwoo answered while putting on his girdle. Yunho then told him to say what he wanted for his lunch by tomorrow so they could get over what happened. Suwoo then screamed at him once again saying that free lunch cannot clear the thing that he already did. Yunho was annoyed listening to his screams so he covered his ears with his fingers. All of a sudden, Suwoo's phone rang. He was startled since it vibrated and he wondered who called. He then grabbed his phone and he was thrilled upon reading the message sent by his girlfriend. Visit Hyunjin. Tell her to get lost. I almost gagged when I heard her cheer earlier, Yunwo stated. Suwoo then prepares himself to leave. He sighed and asked Yunwo when he would stop dissing Hyunjin since he didn't understand why Yunwo hated his girlfriend so much. You should try hanging out with her sometimes. I'm sure you'll end up liking her, he stated, but Yunwo didn't give a response about it. Suwoo then carried his bag and waved goodbye to Yunwo, informing him that he needed to meet Hyunjin. He also asked Yunwo to make an excuse to their coach and he said it would be his first favor. He then slammed the door and Yunwo just sighed after he left and questioned when Suwoo would learn a lesson. That day was supposed to be a fun evening of celebration for Suwoo together with his girlfriend Hyunjin, a night with his most beloved person. But little did he know, it was the night that would change his life forever. His girlfriend Hyunjin waited for him in the park. She's wearing a shorts and sexy top. She wore a small bag and boots while holding his phone. After just a few minutes, Suwoo came and called her with excitement. The lady then turned around and waved at him with a smile on her face. Sorry, I'm late. I got caught up with something. Did you wait long? Suwoo stated, and the lady answered that it was fine since she also just got into this place. As per Suwoo, he instantly saw Hyunjin's message and he also informed the lady that he and Yunwo were arguing and he was able to make up an excuse because of it. Hyunjin suddenly felt down upon hearing Yunwo's name. She asked Suwoo if it was really fine for him to spend time with her since Yunwo sent her a text message saying that they would have a victory party tonight. Because of that message, she told Suwoo that it was better for him if he should go to their team's party instead. But then, Suwoo refused to go and lied that his friend Yunwo volunteered to cover for him. He was worried that the lady might force him to leave since he wanted to spend his time with the lady rather than spending his time with his team. They both held hands and he told her that she was the most important to him. He then asks the lady where she want to go to celebrate, and the lady responds that they can go wherever he wants, and also, she has something planned for Suwoo's reward for winning the competition. She touched her upper breast and said, let's go somewhere fun later tonight. You want to spend time with me, right? Her action says it all, which causes Suwoo to feel nervous while staring at the lady. They both then decided to leave the park and head somewhere else to eat. While they were walking on the street, the lady was holding Suwoo's arm and Suwoo still had a feeling of nervousness because of the lady's action. They went to a resto and ate pasta. Just like a normal couple, Suwoo took a picture of the lady. They both started to eat but Suwoo couldn't hold himself but to stare at his beautiful girlfriend and suddenly pinched her cheek. After eating, they went to a bookstore and checked some novels to read. Suwoo grabbed one romance book titled Crimson Love. All of a sudden, the lady went to him and inserted his arm in the center of her breast, causing Suwoo to be shocked and become speechless. The lady pushed Suwoo's arm to her breast and seemed like she was inviting her to do something else. Suwoo cannot explain how he felt. He had mixed emotions and he cannot deny the fact that a part of him likes what Hyunjin did. When the night came, they were still together. They headed somewhere but Suwoo didn't know where they were going. He asked the lady but the lady wanted to keep it a secret since it was her surprise for him. Are you finally going to give me the reward you mentioned earlier? Can you at least give me a hint? Suwoo asked, but the lady laughed and told him not to be impatient since they were almost at the place. The area they were walking in was so dark and Suwoo even said that it looked isolated. He thought that his girlfriend had gone the wrong way but the lady was very confident that he got the right way. They weren't aware that there was a guy leaning on the wall and suddenly blocked their way. This guy had a boulder body and he was holding a bamboo sword and seemed to be planning to use it as a weapon to hurt someone. He chuckled and asked both Hyunjin and Suwoo if they were having fun. The two were startled upon seeing the man. The man walked towards them and said, must be nice going on a date with your girlfriend after cheating in the Kumdo tournament. How I wish I could be as carefree as you two lovebirds right now. Hyunjin then hides behind Suwoo. Suwoo extended his arms to cover up his girlfriend. He pointed at the man in front of them and asked him if he was the guy who accidentally revealed his junk in the junior track earlier in the competition. The guy was mad at him and said that it was not him. He stated that his name was Kim Namjoon, Suwoo's opponent from the finals earlier. You sure that's not you? You're exuding small junk energy right now. Imagine ambushing people in a dark alley. Suwoo replied, which caused the man to be annoyed and demanded a rematch. Suwoo understood that Namjoon was frustrated about losing but he refused to have a rematch since he didn't bring his gear with him. He said more words but Namjoon instantly charged at him and smashed his head with the sword. Luckily, he blocked the sword using a bag of books he was holding. At this point, Hyunjin ran away from them. Since Namjoon physically hit Suwoo's head, which means foul, Suwoo becomes mad at Namjoon. He got a wound on his hand for blocking the sword and Namjoon didn't care at all that he did a foul play. He attacked Suwoo for the second time but Suwoo dodged away. He almost fell on the ground and he was furious at Namjoon, thinking that Namjoon didn't want to come to a rematch but instead only wanted to beat him up. He was thinking of his girlfriend Hyunjin, planning to get her away from this mess first. He handed the books to Hyunjin, telling her to run away before Namjoon could attack her. Unfortunately, he heard the lady scream in fear. He was shaking as he slowly turned his head around, and unfortunately, two men held Hyunjin's arms to stop her from leaving. She tried to resist, but her strength wasn't enough to escape. The men told her to stay in this place and watch how his boyfriend would be beaten up by Namjoon. Suwoo pointed at these two men, asking them what they thought they were doing. He ordered them to let Hyunjin go since Hyunjin had nothing to do with their fight. "Are you sure you should be worrying about her right now?" Namjoon asked and suddenly smashed Suwoo with the sword. Unfortunately, Suwoo crashed into the wall. His body was trembling. He cursed and told Namjoon that he should match him fair and square if he really wanted a rematch. Namjoon walked toward him and accused him of winning in an illegal way. According to Namjoon, Suwoo shouldn't hit a senior like what he did in their final match. He was aware that it isn't in the tournament rules, but for him, it's a basic etiquette not to use that move. In addition, Suwoo humiliated himself in the interview, so Namjoon was afraid that the people would now remember him as the senior who lost to a kid with diarrhea. Suwoo this time was already trembling, thinking that Namjoon wouldn't really get him away. He remembered his friend Yuno, since it was Yuno who made up a story about him having a sensitive stomach. "That doesn't matter now. Once I beat you up, everyone will forget about my loss and I'll be recognized. I'll go down in history as the best high school Kumdo player in this city," Namjoon stated. Suwoo felt so much annoyed at him, and since he believed that there was no sense in talking with Namjoon, he decided to fight back as much as he could. He opened the garbage can beside him, trying to search for something to defend himself. Luckily, he saw something shimmering which he believed was possible to use as a weapon. At first, he was hesitant to pick it up, but Namjoon charged at him and swung his weapon. "Look at me and beg for mercy," he screamed. But then, Suwoo was able to block his weapon. Both of them were trembling, and Namjoon at the same time was shocked to see Suwoo's weapon. He asked Suwoo where he got this thing, and Suwoo then proudly answered that he wouldn't go down so easily since he could make weapons out of many long objects. Suwoo managed to push away Namjoon. It turned out that his weapon was a toilet plunger and this thing still had poop. "Now that we're even, let's have a fair match. Come at me, small junk," he stated. The four people with him were shocked as they could not believe that he grabbed something dirty out of nowhere. Suwoo stares at his weapon and later realizes that it has a lot of poop on it. But then, he ignored it since there was something he instantly noticed. He stares at the plunger for a long time since Namjoon didn't dare to attack yet. He noticed the logo on the plunger's stick, then looked around him. He then realizes that he was right in his conclusion earlier. He confirmed that they were in the hot district. The two men behind him suddenly laughed and stated that he couldn't win against their captain with just the plunger. "Just give up and admit defeat already. There's no way you're gonna win against me," Namjoon confidently stated. But then, Suwoo didn't give any response since there was something inside his mind. He recalled that there was something Hyunjin was about to give to him as a reward, and he also realized why his girlfriend looked so shy and happy at the same time. After thinking about it, he suddenly possessed his scary aura, an aura full of flame and anger against Namjoon for ruining Hyunjin's surprise. He then charged at Namjoon while preparing his plunger to attack. This time, he was eager to defeat Namjoon to receive his girlfriend's surprise. His aura is familiar to Namjoon. He clearly remembered that this aura was the exact same one Suwoo had during the final match. "Here I come," he screamed and jumped toward Namjoon. At this point, Namjoon also possessed his aura and ignored the aura of Suwoo since he didn't want to lose to the same opponent twice. "Come at me, Poopwo," he said, and Suwoo answered, "As you wish, small junk." The spar between the two had resumed. Suwoo attacked Namjoon, but Namjoon blocked his plunger. Namjoon then told Suwoo not to get cocky since he was confident that Suwoo's attack wasn't enough to beat him. He then tried to smash Suwoo, but Suwoo blocked his weapon. The poop splattered to him, but he didn't have any time to feel disgusted since Namjoon continuously attacked him. Namjoon laughed while fighting and he asked Suwoo if he really didn't have any plans to back down. He demanded Suwoo to give up as he was confident that Suwoo couldn't win against him using just a plunger. Suwoo jumped and they both fought using footwork, but Namjoon had committed several fouls. After a few minutes, they stopped and Suwoo told Namjoon that he must follow the rules if he wanted a rematch. Namjoon stood in front of him and proclaimed that he never mentioned anything about rules. He then declared that this match wasn't just a normal match but instead a fight to the death with the intention of defending his honor. He suddenly pulled Suwoo's hair while saying that he didn't care about the rules anymore after their final match ended earlier today. He then kicked Suwoo's abdomen, causing Suwoo's face to flop on the ground. Namjoon then told him that he should have surrendered from the start instead of wasting all his energy to fight. He then commanded his friends to take a picture of Suwoo's position and clean up the mess right after since he was done beating Suwoo. Suwoo at this moment grabbed the plunger. He was trembling as he was trying to stand. The moment he successfully stood, he proclaimed that he was not done with their match yet. There's no way I'm gonna lose, he added with a stuttering voice. Namjoon was annoyed at his behavior. He looked at Suwoo and saw Suwoo dashing to him with the same aura. Namjoon tried to attack, but Suwoo was able to deflect his weapon. He was so puzzled, wondering how Suwoo still managed to stand and even run after he kicked him in the guts. Suwoo grinned and suddenly removed his girdle. His tummy was bouncing, and this time, Namjoon discovered that Suwoo had a cushion that softened his blow. Suwoo then gripped his weapon and charged at Namjoon once again while saying that this small junk guy should die now. At this moment, Namjoon becomes scared, thinking that Suwoo would go for another neck thrust. And he concludes that if it happens, the poop in the plunger would spray all over him even if he will block it. This time, Suwoo attacked Namjoon's face with the plunger, and Namjoon was right since the poop from the plunger splashed on his face. Namjoon's friends hugged each other and forgot that they let go of Hyunjin. The three of them were dumbfounded upon witnessing how the poop splattered onto Namjoon's face. Namjoon felt disgusted, so he vomited behind Suwoo while Suwoo asked the remaining two men who would be the next to fight against him. The two men were trembling, and in the end, they apologized to Suwoo and promised not to disturb him ever again. They both then walked away, but they were carrying Namjoon with them. Good call. Make sure to wash your captain's face thoroughly, Suwoo said. He then threw away the plunger and touched Hyunjin's shoulder and said sorry to her for taking too long in fighting and wasting their time. Hyunjin then said that she was fine since none of those two men dared to hurt her. How about you? You got hit pretty hard in the stomach back there. We should go to the hospital and have it checked, she said. But then, Suwoo stated that she didn't need to worry since she was perfectly fine. I know it's a bit too late, but I still want to claim that reward. Are you still good to go tonight? Suwoo asked, and the lady still insisted on having him checked, and she showed that she was truly worried for Suwoo. The lady asked him to show her the pain in his tummy, and Suwoo suddenly smiled as he believed that the lady really cared about him. He was staring at the lady, believing that it was fine to show her his tummy since he expected that he could still show his tummy to Hyunjin later on once they got a room. He scratches his head while asking the lady not to laugh at him and promises him to still give the reward right after. Hyunjin promised him as what he wanted, and Suwoo then proudly showed his big tummy to the lady. He even said that it was perfectly fine. A moment of silence between the two. After a few seconds, Suwoo spoke, informing Hyunjin that she was the second who knew about his secret. He said that he loves her so much that's why he decided to show his secret to her. Unfortunately, the lady laughed so loud while saying that she couldn't believe her hunch was correct after all. Suwoo was confused, and the lady then explained that she told her friends back then that Suwoo was lying about his abs, but her friends won't believe her and even said she's crazy. Good thing those goons attacked us before we got a room, she added while still laughing. Suwoo was shocked, but he never responded. The lady proudly showed her wallpaper to Suwoo while saying that she could not believe Suwoo really thought she planned on being intimate with him. The truth is that she only invited him so she could confirm what was underneath his shirt. In addition, she was already happy with her Manhwa boyfriend who is out of Suwoo's league, so there's no reason for her to settle with him. Up until this point, Suwoo remained silent. The lady then turned around and waved goodbye and declared that everything on them was now finally over. She even gave thanks to Suwoo for wasting her junior year in their high school. She walked away, calling Suwoo a flabby, and Suwoo is still dumbfounded as he didn't expect that the lady only played his heart after all. 1 week after the breakup, everyone in the hallway stares at Suwoo and wonders what happened to him. Suwoo walked in the hallway with sadness in his eyes, and he was devastated by what happened a week ago. He was walking together with Yoonho, and Yoonho suddenly smacked his back and ordered him to straighten his back and walk properly since everyone was looking at them. But then, Suwoo doesn't care at all, and he still cannot forget that Hyunjin called him flabby. That's why I told you she's no good. How much more tears do you need to shed before you start listening to me? Yoonho stated. Suwoo then instantly cried and hugged Yoonho, asking him to comfort him and give him his apps. Yoonho pushes him away and angrily tells him not to touch him and to stop acting like a child. At the same time, one of their teammates came and asked Suwoo what was wrong. He also thought that Yoonho did something wrong to Suwoo. Yoonho then answered no and explained that Suwoo was just having a bad day. He also reminded the guy not to call him by his name but instead addressed him as vice captain. He also noticed the futon their teammate was holding, and as per the guy, their teacher asked him to prepare it for their gym class. At this moment, Suwoo was staring at the futon since it looked like real abs. His scary aura comes out as he is full of anger, wanting to destroy all abs in the world. Since he possessed his aura, Yoonho asked him what he was planning to do. Their teammate at the same time bids goodbye to them. Yoonho is trying to calm Suwoo down without knowing that Hyunjin is behind him. Hyunjin accidentally bumped into his arm and unfortunately flopped on the ground like a dog. Her books dropped and Suwoo saw all the male boulder MCs of the books. Suwoo trembled in anger and suddenly threw away the books in the glass window and ended up breaking the glass. After class, Suwoo directly went home. He removed his pair of shoes while informing his mother that he was home. He entered and headed to his room, and his mother noticed that he got home so early, which is unusual. Suwoo then reasoned out that he was not feeling well, so he decided to skip their training. He then told his mother that he needed to rest and asked her to just only call him once the dinner was ready. His mother answered okay, but deep inside her, she was worried since she could feel that there was something Suwoo was thinking. Suwoo entered his room and slammed the door. He leaned to the door and he felt so down again. As much as he wants to tell the world about his trauma, he knows everyone would just find it ridiculous. He believes nobody would take his abs problem seriously, but for him, this problem is a huge issue. A parasite slowly ate its way into his rationality, and when he was on the verge of giving up, he received a fateful phone call from Yoonho. He answered the call, and Yoonho first asked him if he was already home. He also informed Suwoo that he tried catching up with him but was told by their team that Suwoo left without waiting for him. According to Yoonho, he came from the principal's office. He talked with the school principal and explained the situation that happened earlier. Because of it, the principal decided to lift Suwoo's detention so he could come back to the school again by tomorrow. Yoonho didn't receive any response from Suwoo, but he kept on talking, saying that he knew Suwoo was still overwhelmed with what happened with Hyunjin, but he was hoping that Suwoo wouldn't push himself too much, and even scared him that he would die before getting the abs he wishes to have if he will overwork himself. At this time, Suwoo was holding a cutter. He lied that he was fine so that Yoonho wouldn't be worried about him. He said everything would be alright, but while he was saying these words, he was stabbing an abs in the poster. He was so mad while saying that there's no way he's gonna lose to some fictional character with abs. While stabbing the poster, Yoonho suddenly feels sad as he knows that Suwoo is stabbing a manhwa poster again. Because of it, he told Suwoo to take anger management classes. But then, Suwoo told him to shut up since he never hurt anyone at this rate. Yoonho just sighed and said that he couldn't complain if this is what makes Suwoo feel better. He offered Suwoo to let him know anytime once there was something he needed. Suwoo then ordered him to bring more protein powders, the high-quality ones, as he didn't like the last one Yoonho gave to him since it didn't produce any result at all and only made his belly fat increase after drinking it. He said that he could have sworn those powders were running his abs training if those powders didn't come from Yoonho. Since Yoonho didn't respond at all, Suwoo asked if he was still on the line. It takes too long for Yoonho to respond. He became serious and even clenched his fist while he uttered Suwoo's name and invited him to meet at their usual meeting place around 7 p.m. tonight since there's something he wants to give to Suwoo. Suwoo wondered what it was, but he didn't dare to ask Yoonho at all. 7 p.m. came and Suwoo went to their usual meeting place, but he ended up being mad since Yoonho wasn't around even after 30 more minutes. He was holding his waist since he was in pain after forcing himself to exercise and drink 3 glasses of a protein shake before dinner. Now, his stomach feels like it's gonna burst, so he regrets doing it the wrong way. After a few more minutes, Yoonho finally came. He was holding a small paper bag and he apologized to Suwoo for being late since there was a long queue in the supermarket. After explaining, Suwoo was still annoyed at him and informed him that he had been waiting since 7 p.m. They were outside in a coffee shop and Yoonho apologized to Suwoo again. Just cut to the chase. Why did you call for me all of a sudden? Suwoo replied. Yoonho then handed him the paper bag while saying that he wanted to give this present to him and there was also something important he wanted to tell Suwoo. Before that, he invited Suwoo to have a seat inside the cafe since he was also willing to treat Suwoo whatever he wanted. But then, Suwoo refused, so Yoonho decided to tell the truth. He started to speak about his main reason for inviting Suwoo, but Suwoo was looking around, trying to search for a toilet nearby. Yoonho suddenly cried and said that he knew Suwoo wouldn't probably believe what he would say now. Suwoo was shocked to see him crying. Yoonho claimed that he was a terrible friend, but Suwoo was not focusing on his words since he could not hold the pain anymore. His body was already trembling and he decided to run away and find a toilet to burst what he needed to burst. Yoonho chased him and asked him where he was going, but he never responded. He was sweating while searching for a building that possibly had a toilet, and luckily, he found a Nyalibi, which was a fast food chain. His eyes sparkled and he widely smiled upon seeing it. He immediately headed to Nyalibi without knowing that there was a truck while he was crossing the way. At the same time, Yoonho was behind him following him. Suwoo crossed the way and the truck driver was panicking the moment he saw someone cross the way despite that it was already a blind spot. Suwoo's eyes rounded the moment he heard the truck beep. He also saw Yoonho behind him, calling his name. In most stories, people get hit by the iSky truck while trying to save someone, but as for him, he got hit while trying to find a peaceful place to shit in. That tale may sound ridiculous and fake to others, but that's the last thing he remembers before waking up in the bizarre world. The world where he transmitted isn't a normal world where people live. It's a world full of monsters, and the first time he arrived in this place, he was puzzled and was panicking while thinking what was happening. He then stood while holding his head trying to remember what happened to him. After a minute, he luckily recalled that he was rushing to Nyalibi to poop without knowing that there was a truck while he crossed the way, and at the same time he was chased by Yoonho. He was able to clearly see the truck headed his way and heard Yoonho telling him that he didn't need to run away. The moment he saw the truck near him, he wasn't able to move until he was crushed and fell. After recalling what happened, he was so silent while looking around, wondering where his friend Yunho, the truck, downtown, and the Nihilibi. He suddenly screamed, calling for help, hoping that someone would come to him. I don't know what's going on, but if someone's here with me, please respond. I'm about to shit my pants right now, he stated. He started to cry since no one appeared to save him. He was scared, thinking that he had already died, which is why he suddenly transmitted to this place. He also cannot accept that he did not only die a virgin, but he also died looking for somewhere to poop into. A strong blow of wind emerges and there's something piling behind him. He was startled and immediately looked around while he uttered, "Where on fresh hell is this?" A system window appeared in front of him and Suwu was clueless about it at first. A message popped out welcoming him to his own series, and as per the system, Suwu is the main character of this series. As a reward for his successful isekai, the system would give him a chance to level up really fast. As expected, Suwu was confused and he once concluded that he was transported into another world after getting hit by a truck. Since he has blonde hair, he disagreed that he's a main character material. The status window then told him that he would be tested now by checking what he could do with the monster behind him. Suwu was confused without knowing that the monster mentioned by the system was a red wolf and is currently charging at him from behind. Luckily, the wolf didn't attack him instantly. It only bumped his back, causing him to be terrified and wonder where it came from. The wolf was growling and suddenly charged at him for the second time. It jumped and roared so loud. Surprisingly, Suwu hugged it tightly and threw it away. Later then he realized that there were still more wolves he needed to defeat. He was so puzzled about what to do since it was his first time fighting against monsters. He grabbed a stick from the ground and said, "This is bad. I don't know what's happening, but I can't just sit here and get eaten." He confidently said that these monsters could not outnumber him since he was sure that his luck would be on his side now. "You better start running, or you won't be ready for what's coming," he uttered while possessing his aura. His eyes flash and throws the stick to the wolves, thinking that this trick would work. The wolves stared at the stick, so Hao seized the chance to run away. But unfortunately, the wolves chased him, so he got annoyed that the wolves didn't fall for his tricks. After a minute of running, he unluckily tripped on the rock and instantly fell on the cliff. He was screaming while he was falling. Luckily, below was also water just like above the cliff. He ends up crashing into the water and he still feels severe pain. He was so clueless about where the cliff came from, but then he realized that it was a blessing in disguise since the wolves could not follow him anymore. The wolves turned around and walked away. Suwu then breathed deeply as he thought that fighting wolves was over. The system window appeared to congratulate him for passing the tutorial, and the system advised him that it's better to smack the wolves instead of escaping from it. As per the system, Suwu can now begin his new journey now that he has finished the tutorials. He must select a weapon, but Suwu complains that this system is the most useless screen he has ever seen in history since it never helped him during the tutorial. The system got annoyed at him as it didn't like his tone of voice, so it told Suwu that he should pass this journey without any weapon. The ground suddenly shook and tentacles appeared from the underground. He panicked and asked the system to give him some help, but the system teased him. "This isn't right. You're programmed to help me out. I know we started on the wrong foot, but you have to help me out here," he stated, and the monster at the same time completely appeared behind him. Its tentacles wrapped around his lower body and he was begging the system to give him a weapon. The monster swung him and crashed him on the ground. He was lucky enough that he didn't die instantly. The system still teases him. The monster also wrapped his foot and pulled him. It swung him again and threw him away. He was already crying in pain and fear, so he apologized to the system and continued to beg to help him out. "Forgive me already, Boss Master Overlord," he said, and the system replied that he would think about it first. After just a few seconds, it then decided to help Suwu. Suwu stares at the system and sees 3 weapons he could use. These are a small-ass sword, panty slingshot, and Asian mom's disciplinary slippers. He believes that beggars can't be choosers, so he didn't dare to demand at all. He was about to click the system window, but the monster suddenly dragged him, so he was having a hard time clicking his choice of weapon. The system becomes annoyed at him, ordering him to click the weapon that he wants. His body was upside down, causing his belly to be seen. He told the system that he could not choose since the system was very far from him. He ordered it to move closer, but then, the monster was the one that moved closer to his face, so he was startled the moment he saw its huge eyeball. The monster then pulled him again and spread out his body, which made him think that this monster was planning to do something indecent to him. At this point, he noticed something beside the monster's face. He concludes that it might be a camera. The monster suddenly touched him with its sticky tentacles. He felt so disgusted and deduced that this was how those anime girls felt. He was so afraid and wanted to flee, but he couldn't. He would rather be eaten than be violated. The monster widely opened its mouth and Suwu screamed, telling it that he was a male so he shouldn't be eaten. It licked him using its huge tongue and Suwu was shouting for help. Someone suddenly cast magic on the monster and it suddenly disappeared, so Suwoo was finally free and he screamed while he was falling to the ground. He crashed once again and it turned out that it was a lady who helped him. A lovely lady wearing sexy clothes and had green hair with a halo above it. Suwoo was in pain. The saliva of the monster is still on his face. He cannot explain how he remained alive after falling from the height. The lady walked toward him and said that Suwoo was the character assigned to her. And as he went nearer to Suwoo's face, she stated that Suwoo was exactly like what his character sheet said. Suwoo stares at her but he is clueless about what the lady is saying. The lady was aware that Suwoo wonders who she is and how she knows him. She was standing so close to Suwoo and she introduced herself, stating that she was Jenna, Suwoo's character guide in this world. Pleased to meet you, character Sung Suwoo, she uttered while twirling her hair. Suwoo was so speechless since he still didn't get it at all. According to Jenna, this world is called Dionysia, the world of webcomics. She will be the one to guide Suwoo to attain the S-rank abs he has been hoping for. Up until this point, Suwoo was puzzled. He stood and told the lady that he already knew he had been transported to some freaky place, but then he didn't deny the fact that he didn't understand what the lady was saying, especially the S-rank abs she mentioned. Jenna showed a male character to Suwoo using the system window. She explained that Suwoo had to be shredded as this guy on the screen so he could have whatever he wanted, or even a ticket back to his original world. Suwoo was so mad staring at the photo since he knew this character was Lee Jin-ho, one of the men Hyunjin idolized. That still doesn't make sense. How can abs get me whatever I want? Are abs equivalent of money here? He asked. He thought that once he could have a six-pack abs, he could get free food or anything equivalent to the abs he would gain. Jenna said that Suwoo's conclusion is so weird to imagine. She turned around and told Suwoo that it was better to show him around while explaining. But then, Suwoo refused since he didn't want to go with someone suspicious. The worst thing is that he believes that the lady is just pranking him. Jenna didn't force him at all and just told him to just stay in the same area and enjoy himself alone. Suwoo then confidently replied that he could figure out everything without anyone's help. But then, he heard a howling sound of a wolf, so he became terrified and decided to come with Jenna. They started walking until the night came. Suwoo was so tired and complained that they had been walking for a long time. The lady then said that they were almost to their destination, so he must hold on a little bit. But Suwoo was annoyed since Jenna was saying this word for an hour. What he wants now is to know how long they need to keep on walking. After a few minutes, they finally arrived at their destination. There was a door which is the first district gate as per Jenna. She then invited Suwoo to get inside together and Suwoo then stared at the door, and despite the fact that he felt a little bit hesitant, he decided to enter and just followed Jenna. After they entered, Suwoo panting heavily while Jenna was staring at him and calling him a wimp. Suwoo was so mad at her and told her that he still hadn't gotten anything to eat or drink since he transferred to this place. He wiped his sweat and asked the lady where they were. It seemed like they were in a village. Suwoo thought they were finally somewhere safe and comfy, but looking at the place, he realized that he was wrong since he saw people sleeping on the street, bullying people, and there was also an abandoned house. The lady crossed her arms and stated that this place is just the way it is, but social hierarchy is very important to this place. She added that people call this place the other district and it's the poorest part of this world. People in this world make a living by doing quests received from the webcomic authors in the other world. The nature of the quests depends on the author's imagination, and characters have to complete them in order to gain money and power. It may be as simple as buying something or as complicated as committing a crime. All actions taken while doing a quest are being captured by a magical camera, and these are transmitted to the author's imagination for their use in their webcomic. Once the quest has been completed, characters are rewarded with money and attribute power-ups, and they can take on other quests requested from them. Wait, if it's that easy to make money, why are there so many people living in the streets? Suwoo asked. Jenna then replied that he should have a hint on what was going on since this kind of scenario also happened to his original world. She pointed at the building nearby. It was the manhwa character Lee Jin-ho. And as per Jenna, the more audience a story has, the more chapters a webcomic has. This means more quests, money, and attribute power-ups. Romance and action dominate the webcomic market in the other world, so characters starring in those genres are wealthier and more powerful. Meanwhile, people living in this place in others' district appear in less popular genres and are left with scraps. They have to put up with the few quests that pay very little. Characters appearing in cancelled webcomics have to find new stories to appear in. But because of the abundance of characters and small demand for other genres, many of them end up jobless and are left begging on the streets. Suwoo then concludes that he could end up homeless if he doesn't do well enough. He was worried since he didn't know there was another side to those stories at all. Wait. How do all of these tie out with me getting abs? And how do I get started on those quests? He angrily asked. Jenna then said that she could answer his confusion, but he should chill out first. It's better to take you to the company than to explain it here. Come with me, and you'll know more, she stated. Meanwhile, they arrived at the Comedy Inc. Suwoo entered inside alone by himself and saw a clown in the lobby. Suwoo then went directly to the lobby and there was a lady handing tea to the clown. The lady assistant of the clown then moved behind the clown. The clown at the same time stirs his cup of tea. Suwoo stared at him but he didn't talk for a moment. The clown drank his tea and Suwoo sat down. The clown suddenly called his assistant Giggles. He turned the glass upside down and said that Giggles forgot to pour water in his tea. Upon hearing it, Suwoo was dumbfounded thinking that this clown had been drinking from an empty cup this entire time. Look, Clownface, I didn't come here to watch your comedy bits. I need to get started on quests so I can escape this crazy world as soon as possible, he angrily said while banging the table. Oh, it's the latest stars of Comedy Inc. Welcome, I'm glad you already know my name. Yes, that's right, I'm Mr. Clownface. Nice to meet you, Clownface replied while shaking hands with Suwoo. Suwoo then honestly said that he wasn't calling Clownface by name since he didn't know it at all. He was still mad and banged the table once again while telling Clownface that he didn't need fancy greetings and introductions. He just needs to know how to escape this world as fast as possible. Clownface then concludes that Suwoo's tour guide didn't tell him everything. He knows that Jenna is the one guiding Suwoo and he says that Jenna used to be a star in this world so she has quite a sense of humor. He remembered Jenna used to be so cute when was just a star. Clownface shared a lot but Suwoo cut his words since he isn't interested to know someone else's story. Clownface then handed him a pamphlet saying that this could help Suwoo clear up any confusion. Suwoo accepted it and saw that the title of the pamphlet was Leveling My Ice Guide Abs. According to Clownface, Suwoo is taking on quests for this new webcomic, and it will be a comedy since it was assigned to the Great Comedy Inc. But he heard it will also have some action. Suwoo then instantly understood that he'd be starring in a comedy webcomic. While checking the pamphlet, he noticed that his best friend's name was in the pamphlet and is also one of the webcomic stars. He then asked Clownface if Yunai was also ice guide into this world. Because of his question, Clownface believes that Suwoo really has no idea. He opened a bottle of water and suddenly threw it to Suwoo. Suwoo felt insulted and called Clownface a psycho who had a sick sense of humor. I know you're the president of the comedy club and you're just trying to be funny, but throwing water on innocent people like that is the worst type of humor, he stated while removing the buttons on his shirt to change it. He asked Clownface if he had any spare clothes so he could change, but then he flinched as he heard someone sigh and complain that it was very noisy. Can you keep it down, dude? I can hear your insane screeching even in my dreams, the guy asked. Suwoo suddenly became nervous upon seeing the man. It was Yunho. Yunho reminded him not to wake him up when they were on a sleepover. Seemed like Yunho wasn't aware at all that they both transmitted into another world. He was about to talk more but a moment of silence between them instantly happened. It was because Yunho was shockingly embedded in Suwoo's stomach. Suwoo slammed the door once again and immediately asked Clownface about what was happening. He pointed at his tummy and angrily questioned Clowhead about why is Yunho embedded into his stomach. Yunho at the same time was so scared that he turned into a flabby belly. Clownface laughed so loud and he guessed that Jenna really didn't say anything to Suwoo about his tummy. He teases Suwoo that he looked like he just crapped himself. Suwoo was furious at him for laughing. Clownface then said that it was really funny. Why else would you be assigned here in Comedy Inc? More importantly, you two were in a fatal accident in your world. How does it feel like having a second chance in life? Clownface stated while spinning a rubber on his finger. Suwoo was doomed as he confirmed he and Yunho really died. Clownface then told him not to freak out since they keep track of what happens in the world of Suwoo. He added that they keep track of what happens so he can show how it transpired. He handed a tab to Suwoo and told him to watch the footage. He also said that he saved it on his gallery so Suwoo can watch it as he believes this might answer some of Suwoo's questions. After discussing with Clownface, Suwoo then went outside of the Comedy Inc. He took a fresh air and he was down after he knew the exact thing that happened to him. With the help of Clownface's footage, Suwoo was able to know the reason why Yunho invited him that day. That night when Yunho chases him, Yunho admits that he only replaced Suwoo's supplements with fat because he didn't want him to end up heartbroken like the first time he got hurt. He didn't think Suwoo would be affected this much and he swore he didn't mean to cause Suwoo any harm. That time, Suwoo didn't hear it at all since he was panicking because of his stomachache. In addition, he was dumbfounded upon seeing the truck as he crossed the way. After the accident happened, he and Yunho were bumped by the truck, which is the reason why they're dead. At this moment, Suwoo grits his teeth out of anger. He screamed angrily asking how Yunho betrayed him. He loved Yunho so much as he thought that Yunho was really a true friend. He treated him kindly and trusted him, so he could not believe that the one he trusted the most was a traitor. He was so sad and he wanted to cry, but Yunho suddenly spoke, asking him if he still remembered that he was in his stomach. Suwoo then ordered him to shut up as he was having his moment. I understand if you're still angry about what I did, but I just want to say I didn't mean to hurt you. I guess I did that because I wanted you to find the person who would love you for who you are. Perfect or not perfect, with or without abs, Yunho said. With his statement, Suwoo becomes speechless. Yunho then yawned and asked Suwoo if they could now sleep and just think more about their situation tomorrow since it was too late. He also believes that they can peacefully finish their conversation when they are both well rested. The next day early in the morning, Clownface woke up too early and blew a horn, then immediately threw it away the moment Suwoo woke up. Suwoo was startled by the noise. He was panicking, asking Clownface about what was going on. Clownface smiled at him and reminded him that it was his first day so he must get up. He handed a sandwich and tea to Suwoo to let him eat, but Suwoo was so annoyed at him and told him to leave. He gets up and stretches his body while asking Clownhead why he's making such a fuss early in the morning instead of giving the newbie some slack. Clownface then said that Suwoo had a lot of things to learn about this world, which is why he cannot let him sit around. He handed a towel to Suwoo and told him to start his day by taking a bath. Suwoo accepted the towel and warned Clownface not to intrude on his shower. He glared at Clownface while saying that he wouldn't be hesitant to punch him in the face if he didn't listen. He then entered the restroom while Clownface just grinned. All of a sudden, Suwoo opened the restroom's door madly. He pointed at his stomach and asked Clownface if he was going to bathe with Yunho on his stomach. Yunho also disagreed with it, but Clownface as usual laughed again, knowing that Suwoo realized it too late. He becomes serious instantly while telling Suwoo that he has no choice but to live this way since this is what the author of his series wants. And if he really wants to separate from his friend Yunho, then he just has to level up so high that he can reach the status of S ranker. Upon mentioning it, Suwoo recalled that he tried asking about this information yesterday but he never got a clear answer, so now he asked Clownface again what becoming an S ranker has to do with going back to normal. Clownface sighed out of disappointment, thinking that Jenna was incompetent at her job as always. He then went to the window and opened it, asking Suwoo to look outside. Suwoo was surprised upon seeing a place different from what he had seen the last day. As per Clownface, this is the world of Dionysia. The landscape in the other district looks so different, which is the reason why Suwoo got confused. According to Clownface, the most powerful ones who live outside this district can get whatever they want in this world. Fame, power, and even wealth, they name it, they got it. Once Suwoo reaches the level of the S ranker, the sky is the limit, and he can bring to life even his sickest desires. Suwoo then now understood why Clownface and Jenna kept talking about ranks, and if he leveled up enough, he believes he can separate himself from Yunho and return to his world. Wait, I can vaguely recall that sexy lady talking about leveling up through quests. How do we get started? Yunho asked. Good question from the talking abs, Clownface said while handing a phone to Suwoo, instructing him to put it on his belt. Suwoo followed his command and let Yunho check it. The system window of Suwoo also appeared, so he smiled, saying that it was his old friend. Clownface then informed him that this screen is called a plot device in this world and it displays all of Suwoo's information and quests. Quests are divided into two types, canon and non-canon. Canon quests are those that are required to be accomplished based on the player's webcomic storyline. They give lots of rewards and experience points. Non-canon quests, on the other hand, are those that do not affect the player's storyline. They're mostly mundane tasks that don't give as much as canon quests. After knowing about it, Suwoo asked if they could pick whatever quest they wanted in this world. Clownface wiggles while saying that Suwoo is pretty much right. He added that Suwoo can delay doing the canon quests, although he has to complete them before their due dates. In addition, the non-canon quests are optional, but they're fun and easy, so he recommends Suwoo to do it first. Suwoo was annoyed as he answered that there was no way he's gonna do mundane tasks. You still haven't explained something. How can we enter the other districts? He asked, and as per Clownface, Suwoo needs to reach at least C rank to enter the action district and a rank to enter the romance district. He tapped the plot device of Suwoo and told them to take a look at it. They were currently at E rank and Yunho guessed they were really starting from the bottom. Of course, all their attribute status are level 1 and they need to reach level 20 to be promoted to D rank. Clownface told them that they both needed to work really hard in order to level up their rank. And also, they can't increase their overall rank if all of their 5 attributes haven't reached the required level. Suwoo becomes upset the moment he sees that their special attribute is abs. He angrily asked Clownface what it meant and Clownface answered that he needed to train his friend in order to level up. Suwoo was speechless by the fact that not only did he need to get used to Yunho in his stomach, but he also needed to help Yunho train. Anyway, the choice is yours. You're free to pick whatever you want. I suggest you go for a non-canon quest first to get yourself used to it. Clownface stated, "There's no need for that. You probably think I'm some weak, flabby freak, but I'm pretty confident about my skills." Suwoo replied. He then instantly accepted a canon quest. The quest is to defeat 10 goblins, a normal difficulty. Clownface was shocked, but both Suwoo and Yunho were confident to complete this task easily. After taking a bath, Suwoo then came out from the Comedy Inc. and met with Jenna. While walking, he asked Jenna how much longer they had to wait to do his first quest. Jenny then told him not to be impatient since his ride would come any second now. She mentioned that Suwu picked monster slaying, so he needed to go to the wasteland. Suwu asked her to let him teleport into the wasteland, but Jenna sighed and said that Suwu's company didn't have enough budget to teleport people around. She also told him not to worry since she asked Clownface to give him their finest asset. Suwu was glad to hear it, and he was expecting that the majestic ride that would arrive for him was a circus lion or an elephant. "Whatever it is, I'm sure it'll fit a VIP like me," he uttered. Jenna then declared that the ride for him had come. It was a ferret. As per Jenna, this ferret is the company's finest ride. She also told Suwu not to be fooled by this ferret's look since it has remarkable speed that is suited for long travels. Because of its speed, most characters in this district use ferrets to go to the wastelands. Suwu then asked the lady if she really expected him to ride a ferret. But upon hearing Jenna ask if he could walk for hours like they did yesterday instead of riding the ferret, Suwu forcibly accepted the offer even if he didn't want it. His then travel started from Comedy Inc. and passed through mountains. Because of the ferret's speed, Suwu felt so much pressure from the air. While traveling, he remembered Jenna telling him that he could use the quest tracker on his system so he wouldn't get lost, and he must think of it like a GPS from his world. Suwu checked it when the ferret stopped, and it turned out that it stopped at 0. "We're probably at the quest location. Let's take a look around," Yunho said. "Wait, you're still there?" Suwu asked since he almost forgot about Yunho. Yunho then reminded him that he was literally attacked to his stomach. "Shut up and don't talk to me. I haven't forgiven you yet," Suwu said. While they were arguing, goblins were sneaking from the bush. Yunho asked Suwu when he would forgive him since he had already explained his side, but then Suwu didn't want to listen to him. They were so loud that caused the goblins in the area to be disturbed. One goblin then aimed an arrow at them, and the arrow passed exactly near Suwu's face. Suwu was terrified since he was almost struck by it. Two goblins then charged at him from behind, and he was able to hit one of the goblins using his elbow. He also bent his head so he avoided the goblin's dagger. He pulled the goblin that was behind him so the goblin let go of its dagger. He slammed the goblin on the ground and threw it to the remaining goblins in the area. The system window then appeared to let him choose a weapon. He immediately clicked the sword while proudly saying that there was a reason why he was chosen as a kendo captain over Yunho. The sword then slowly appeared in front of him, and he immediately tightly held its grip and dashed at the goblins. He swung his sword and managed to eliminate 3 goblins in one strike. More archers goblins appeared and attacked him with arrows again. Suwu easily deflected all the arrows and bent down his body. He then jumped to the rock where the archer goblin stood and destroyed its bow. He then kicked the remaining goblin and threw his sword to where it was heading. He managed to strike the goblin on the tree, and after eliminating 10 of it, he then cleaned his hands since there was a lot of dust. After completing the quest, his system window appeared to notify that he received an additional 100 EXP plus 250 bonus and 100 points of DM. In an instant, he leveled up from level 1 to level 4. He also learned 2 new skills, which are Wind Blade Technique and Tornado Slash. He stares at his hand thinking that he's a lot faster and stronger than before. He concludes that this might be the effect of the world's power system. He thought he already reached his peak back then, but now he confirmed that he was wrong as he could get even stronger. At this moment, the system informed him that he unlocked 3 new quests. He must slay a pack of wolves. It wasn't recommended for his level since it's a hard difficulty. There is also another quest which is to slay 10 hobgoblin. This quest is a normal difficulty, so the system recommended it. The last recommended quest is to slay a total of 20 goblins, and this is also recommended since its difficulty is easy. All of these quests involved slaying creatures. Yunho then told him to take everything easy. He said that it would be wiser to do the easier ones first, but unfortunately, Suwu disagreed and chose the hard difficulty quest, which was to slay wolves. The faster we level up, the better. Besides, I have a bone to pick with these guys, he confidently uttered. This quest had 1,800 EXP and 2,000 DM rewards once completed. After accepting it, Suwu then went to the area where the wolves were waiting. These wolves were snarling above a cliff, and Suwu was staring at it while saying that it seemed like they'd be settling the score today. The wolves were still growling while charging at Suwu. Suwu gripped his sword and he was calm while waiting for the wolves to come closer. One wolf jumped at him and he easily slashed it. He then pointed his sword to the other wolf and slashed it using his wind blade technique. A wolf instantly appeared behind him. He got startled, but he luckily pierced its face before it could bite him. He jolted knowing that he was almost harmed by this wolf. He also realizes that these wolves are much faster than the first time he fought with them during the tutorial. He ended the third wolf's life using his tornado slash. Now, only one more to go for him to complete the quest. The last wolf appeared in front of him, and he felt that this wolf was much more different from the others. This wolf was growling and it looked a bit scary. Because of its aura, Suwu concludes that it's the leader of the pack. This wolf suddenly howled so loud and looked back to Suwu. Its breath was smoking and its teeth were sharper than the others. Shockingly, this wolf transformed into a huge size. The system then appeared to inform Suwu that this wolf was a level 15 Bardu the were-dog. Suwu flinched. He was nervous knowing that it was a high-level wolf which wasn't written in the quest's description. The wolf roared so loud and swung its huge hand. At this moment, Suwu was shaking in fear. He stood still and his body froze despite that he heard Yuno telling him to watch out. But then, the wolf passed above him. It turned out that it was heading to the ferret. It bites the ferret and the ferret screech in pain. Suwu was shocked upon seeing it. The ferret's blood was dripping on the ground and it was squeaking. Unfortunately, the wolf eats the flesh of the ferrets. The blood stained on its face and it gulped the moment it swallowed the ferret's flesh. This wolf then looked back to Suwu but Suwu still didn't move. Yuno keeps asking him why he remained standing. He said that they both would surely die if Suwu didn't make a move. Suwu was sweating. The wolf then charged at him and swung its hand to grab Suwu. Fortunately, Suwu finally moved and dodged away. He jumped but Suwu's face was confused. It turned out that it was Yuno who controlled his body to jump. Suwu landed on the ground and Yuno was shocked upon knowing that he could control Suwu's body. He was looking at the system and acknowledged him for doing a great job. The system said that Yuno finally discovered his ability by himself. Because of it, he successfully unlocked the body control ability. Below the system is a word saying that a parasite can temporarily control a host's body. Yuno felt insulted that he was called a parasite by the system. At this point, they were standing behind the wolf. The wolf turned around and charged at them once again. It was mad this time and Yuno was also annoyed that it won't stop. He decided to control Suwu's body since Suwu was still puzzled. He kicked the wolf and Suwu's face was clueless about how it happened. Luckily, the wolf fell to the ground. Yuno then told Suwu to get a hold of himself. Still, Suwu was trembling in fear. Yuno then told him that he was not used to controlling Suwu's body yet, so Suwu should have to help him defeat the wolf. He grits his teeth out of anger since Suwu is still shaking in fear. It's harder controlling his body when it has a mind on its own. It's taking me all my strength just to go against what his brain is telling his body to do, Yuno stated. He was trying to make Suwu's body stand but he can't. He then asked the system if there was an option to cancel the quest and luckily, the system said yes. According to the system, they may cancel any quest they have already started but that will result in mission failure. Mission failures give characters a penalty. In this case, 10,000 DM would need to be deducted from their savings. Unfortunately, character Susu or character Jiang Yuno both don't have enough DMs to cancel their current mission, so they need to either slay Bardu or escape or get slain by this scary wolf. Yuno then asked Suwu if he read the canceling quest information but Suwu didn't reply at all. Yuno then told him that he knew it was hard to get used to this new life but he was with him and helped him out. What are you so afraid of anyway? We already died once and we both didn't notice it. There's no reason to fear this monster, he added. Because of what he said, Suwu finally got a realization. Back in their world, he was a reckless fool. He knew Yuno was always there to cover for him whenever he needed it, so he didn't think much about the consequences of his actions. He got too dependent on Yuno since he knew Yuno would always be there to support him. So when he learned about his betrayal, he felt so helpless. It's like he's trudging through this world all alone, but he guessed that's not the case. At this moment of his realization, he heard Yuno stating that he was aware he was still mad and he suggested that Suwu should channel all of his anger toward this wolf. Yuno then screamed, angrily screaming Suwu's name. Man, this is the first time you yelled this much, Suwu said. He then stood to fight while Yuno was surprised that Suwu listened to him. Suwu then extended his arm and summoned his sword. His sword was stuck on the ground and it was shaking while he was trying to summon it. After half a minute, it finally throws, headed back to Suwu and Suwu then catches it while saying, "Shut up and stay quiet, you noisy abs." He then prepared himself to battle and the same thing to Bardu. Bardu this time summoned a weapon, and his weapon wasn't a typical one since it was flaming. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you wish to have another part of this recap, please give us at least 2,000 likes. Please don't forget to comment and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Until next time.